4 oils with different viscosities in the same engine and the same RPM and the same temperature. How does that change the oil pressure? And what does that really mean for the wear of your engine? It's no secret that the manufacturer oil recommendations have been moving more and more towards low viscosity oils for years. 0W20, 0W16, even 0W8. The oils are getting thinner and thinner, but why actually? Are the concerns justified that thinner oil protects worse? The development is based on the fact that emission standards are getting stricter and stricter, and vehicle manufacturers have to meet so-called fleet average carbon dioxide values. And the thinner an oil is, the lower is its internal friction. Imagine you have 2 completely flat metal surfaces, lay them on the top of each other and put oil in between. Now let's take just the thickest oil we have here, that's a 20W50, put it in between, spread it out a bit. Now we basically have an oil film between these 2 surfaces, and the internal friction is this. The force I need to push this block on top, that's not necessarily super hard, but also not super easy. And now watch what happens when we drastically reduce the viscosity by just taking a 0W20, which is now required in more modern vehicles. Put them together again and I basically don't even need to push anymore. The thing moves by itself in every direction. So we have much lower friction here, and I just have to be careful that the thing doesn't fall off. That means the biggest difference between viscosity class oils is always the internal friction. The lower the viscosity, the lower the friction. That means the thinner an oil, the smoother the engine runs and the lower the fuel consumption is. And that's exactly what manufacturers want right now. Every milliliter of fuel that I don't have to push through my engine is carbon dioxide saving. Now you could say, okay, thinner oil is saving fuel, but are they really worse for the engine? Here comes the crucial point. There is a tribological relationship between temperature, viscosity and load-bearing capacity of the lubrication film. The hotter the oil gets, the thinner it becomes, and the thinner the oil becomes, the less load-bearing the lubrication film is. That's simply physics. And now it gets interesting. You should become alert at the latest when manufacturers give further recommendations in the vehicle operating manual, in the fine print, usually in chapters like driving under severe conditions or similar. There you will find phrases like at sustained high speed, during continuous operating at high RPM, at extreme outside temperatures and so on. And yes, in our country I know one place where that's the permanent state for many people. Our German Autobahn. By the way, vehicle manufacturers, especially from Asia, have been driving around with 0W20 for 10 years and prescribe this oil for internal markets, except for Germany. There the vehicles are delivered with 5W30 or 5W40. For exactly this reason, Germany is the only country worldwide without a speed limit. That means oil temperature gets significantly higher, the thermal load is simply more extreme. There are 2 important factors that have changed in the engine development over the last decades and allow us to drive these low viscosity oils today. One is the precision with which components are manufactured. That means bearing tolerance are getting smaller and smaller. The gap in a plain bearing is getting smaller and I can run with thinner oil. I have less space that I need to fill. And secondly, the advantage of oil pump technology. Oil pumps have increasingly higher delivery capacity, increasingly stable at lower RPM and have also become much more energy efficient, as long as these bearing tolerances are still as small as specified by the manufacturers. However, we also know that these bearing tolerances change over the engine's life and don't get smaller, but unfortunately always bigger. That means we need a reserve in oil pressure on the one hand and the reserve in engine oil on the other. 30 years ago, a 2-liter diesel also only had 50 to 60 horsepower. When you started it, the neighborhood within 3-kilometer radius was awake because it had a huge bearing clearance and of course made a huge noise. Today the engines still have 2 liters, over 200 horsepower, is much quieter, but everything depends on the bearing clearance being exactly right. The viscosity being exactly right, your oil not being mixed with fuel or water, that it really still has the viscosity it had when you filled it in, and that everything fits. It's comparable to a rocket launch. If one parameter doesn't fit, boom, the engine is broken. And German high-performance engines are designed to be just that sensitive. Bearing clearance aside, the oil always comes from the oil pump. And these oil pumps have been installed since engine number 1. They often look like this, designed as a gear pump with 2 counter-rotating gears that don't pump the oil between the gears, but along the outside, compress it and thus create oil pressure and volume flow. However, there are also more modern designs like a vane pump with volume flow adjustment that can really actively adjust the volume flow. These vane pumps are built to be very powerful and efficient from the factory, so they don't need much RPM to already pump a lot of oil at relatively high pressure through the engine. I dare to claim that there is no engine with a functioning vane pump that has oil pressure problems. Look at the B57 from BMW, it has such a vane pump. The only problem is that the oil pressure is regulated down by the ECU. And yes, you can increase it, be on the safe side. OM642, newest model, vane pump. There is so many videos. My OM642 has no oil pressure problems. Maybe it already has this pump. Great. Unfortunately, I can't retrofit it to other engines, otherwise I would do. But there are other options. By the way, we only use oil pumps from the manufacturer Pierburg. We have already sold thousands of upgrade oil pumps and there is simply the best quality. There are oil pumps where the bearing clearance doesn't fit, where the gear moves stiffly, with chips already in the new housing, broken housings. So the range is really from the bottom to across the board. Save yourself the trouble, take one of these and then you're really good to go. So now, not only the viscosity has been reduced, but also the oil volume. That means the total amount of oil in the engine. And that of course causes the cooling performance of the engine oil to be reduced. Why do they do that? Operating costs, of course, why else? The technology behind a 0W20 oil is actually brilliant at first. Low friction and so-called multi-grade oils are even able to lubricate well at high temperatures through viscosity index improvers, so-called VI improvers. Why do they lubricate well there? Because the polymer change in these VI improvers do exactly the opposite of what the oil does. The oil gets thinner with increasing temperature and these improvers getting thicker, and ensure that the viscosity overall doesn't decrease as much as it normally should. But here comes the big problem. Under extreme loads, and that's already during a German Autobahn drive, the shear stress on the oil in the engine increases significantly. That means these polymers start to be sheared off. This happens especially in the area of the piston rings. You have to imagine, I have the crosshatch pattern. In the crosshatch there is oil, these polymer chains stick out the front and get sheared off again each time. Every time the piston goes up and down, shear stress occurs on the oil. And this polymer change, which ensure through their long linkage and through their knotting with each other to keep the oil thick, just keep getting chopped up smaller. And that causes so-called additive degradation and causes the oil to get thinner and thinner with increasing mileage. That means a 0W20 after 10,000 miles only has a viscosity of a 0W16, if even a 0W8 oil. What remains is the thin base of oil, which now, like any other oil at high temperature, thins out much further. The result, lubricating film tear off, mixed friction, wear. And that also describes exactly the phenomenon you will experience when you drain off your old oil and wonder, okay, the old oil that comes out of my engine is somehow much more liquid than the new oil I fill in afterwards, even though it's basically the same oil. American laboratory tests with the so-called KRL shear test, that's a 20-hour test that simulates real conditions, showing shocking results. A 0W40 oil loses over 5% of its HDHS viscosity value during this test. A 10W60 loses almost 15%, a 5W50 about 10%. HDHS stands for high temperature, high shear. That's basically the viscosity at 150 degrees and extreme shear stress. And that's the number that really counts for an engine oil. On Porsche engines, it was measured, for example 997, that the 0W40 oil was already sheared so strongly after 100 miles, that's about 160 kilometers, that it behaved like a 0W20 oil or equivalent to a 0W20 oil. And that means the viscosity degraded significantly. One drive on German Autobahn from Munich to Hamburg and the oil has already lost a large part of its original viscosity. And now here it comes. The Americans took a high-performance engine on the test bench and tested two oils, a 0W20 rather thin and a 20W50, a thicker oil. Of course, same engine, same conditions, 12 full load runs over 3 days, and afterwards they analyzed the oil in the lab. Super interesting, and the results are really crazy. With the 0W20, the thin oil, we have an iron value increase. So iron always occurs when in a grey cast iron block the piston rings scrap over the cylinders and create abrasion there. An iron increase from 13 to 61 ppm. So ppm is parts per million. That means per 1 million particles we previously had 13 iron particles. Now we have 61. That's a quadrupling. Clear wear in this area. Lead value, so bearing wear. Lead is a component of bearing. In this case we went from 30 ppm to 41 ppm. That's also a clear sign that wear has already formed within the bearings. The 20W50 oil, on the other hand, has an iron increase from 11 ppm to 21. That means only a doubling, and with lead, no change at all, nothing. Bearing experienced no wear. The conclusion of this test was that the thinner oil causes 4 times higher wear on the cylinders and significantly wear in the bearing area, while the thick oil causes minor wear on the cylinder and no wear at all on the bearing points. And that's exactly why we are now doing our own test. We want to see how oil pressure behaves under real conditions and is influenced by the different viscosity of the oils. So we have 4 oils, 0W20, a 0W30 and a 0W40 and of course a 10W60. All in the same engine at same RPM and the same temperature. What we measure is the oil pressure, and what we want to know is whether the oil pressure changes with oil of different viscosity in cold condition and whether and how strongly the oil pressure adjusts with increasing temperature. By the way, another very interesting point shown in the American test is that the thin oil really measurably brings more power. That means the engine runs easier due to minimized internal friction of the oil and really produces 3 to 4 horsepower more compared to the thick oil. So you gain something in performance and efficiency in short term, but pay with more wear in long term. For exactly this reason, manufacturers recommend in the fine print to rather go for 0W30 or 0W40. Very few do that, but stick to the manufacturer approval with a good conscience. Here is my clear recommendation. If you mainly drive short distances or leisurely country roads, the thin oil recommended by the manufacturers is okay. Low consumption, little internal friction at cold start, great as long as you do regular oil changes. Because always remember, the more your additives in your 0W20 or 0W30 oil break down, the thinner your oil becomes, and at some point you only have a 0W16 or even thinner. And then you go into mixed friction. If you regularly drive faster, full throttle and really stress the engine, then go for a 0W40 instead of a 0W20, because that can reduce wear by up to 75%, as our test or the test of our good colleagues from America showed. Yes, you might lose 0.2 liters consumption per 100 miles, but your engine will last significantly longer. If you have a high-performance engine, turbo, supercharger, sports engine, Porsche or whatever, even more important, these engines have even higher shear stress. Look at the chapter Driving Under Severe Conditions and please use the thickest oil which is described there. The surprising conclusion after our test is that we don't have such large oil pressure deviations between viscosity classes at room temperature. In the upper range you can see of course that the 10W60 oil builds up a bit more oil pressure than the 0W20, but the difference isn't drastic here either. What I find very interesting in the American test is that they measured the engine power during the runs. That the engine power with the thinner oil was 3, 4, 5 horsepower higher than with thicker oil. That means through this reduced internal friction the engine was smoother and therefore more powerful. But quite clearly, with increasing age of the oil, the additives breaks down. That means the polymer chains are cut off and the oil gets thinner and thinner, and at some points your lubrication film tears. And what was also clearly seen in this test, the iron and lead content increased much more severely with the thinner oil than with the thick one. The overall conclusion from both tests is rather go on viscosity class higher, you lose something in efficiency but gain significantly in longevity.